Hello and welcome back to the Octave Leap channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about a really super cool thing to look at whenever we're considering our environment, our health, our astrocartography. So the last couple of videos I've been doing on this channel have really been focused on astrocartography and getting your environment right. And so I'll just briefly recap that when our environment's right, about 60% of people, especially people with open root centers and open G centers, really benefit by being in the right environment. They start to realize, hey, when I'm in the right environment, everything works. I start to attract more wealth into my life. I start to do better with money. People, I don't have interpersonal issues. In fact, I might meet people that I really relate with well and connect with well. I feel that sense of community and that fabric of everything's working out. I'm very clear in the direction that I want to go. My health is good. I just feel good overall, and I'm able to really get on with what I'm here to do. And so 60% of people find that if the environment's right, that way of being is much, much easier. So if you're one of those people, you're going to be very interested in hearing what I have to say in this video. So a couple of videos back, I showed you guys a basic technique for astrocartography that will help you find what I call, the lines. And you can see here on my screen, I've got my own chart pulled up. And I've talked about this plenty, but this line here is the one where I currently live. This is my sun IC line. This is not the only line that I've lived on where I've had extremely awesome experiences. Another place I lived was, of course, Cape Town, South Africa, which is down here. And you can see it's right between my North Node and Venus conjunction, as well as Jupiter and Neptune a little bit over here. So this is a place where I really felt at home, but also at the same time, I was attracting things in my business. And when we get into certain placements, sometimes if we're in the wrong environment or imbalanced, we can actually say, hey, well, the astrocartography line was really good, but the experience I had there wasn't very good. So it's not like all parts of our lines are made equally and are, going to be a benefit for us. And things, especially like Neptune, I found in many of the readings I did, is Neptune can be either really beneficial for people and really give people a sense of spiritual depth and creativity and, visions of the higher dimensions, or it can be delusion, confusion, and unpredictable situations arising. So what is it that makes the difference between the two? Because obviously one is kind of what we want. It's a little bit easier to get on with what we're here to do. And the other one is going to throw a lot of wrenches into things and is probably going to eat up a lot of our time and maybe even cause health issues as well. Neptune too does have the chemist, the doctor. So Neptune can also be related to health. And so if you look here, if I were somebody brand new and saying, oh, this looks like a pretty good set of lines that I want to live between, I have a lot of options. I have Cape Town, I have Botswana, I have Congo, I have Chad, I have Libya, I have Greece, Italy, Bulgaria, Romania. I've also lived in Romania too. And Romania was a lot better when I did this one thing that we're going to talk about in this video. All the way up into Sweden, you can see in Finland, it's the same energy. So what gives? Well, there's actually another layer to this. There's two more layers. In the last video, we talked about the environment itself. So in my case, I showed, hey, caves selective, but caves is pretty easy to do. I just need a room. Like you can see here, I've started to deck out my office. So for me, this is where I feel really good in my little cave. I've got my music equipment over here. I've got my hedgehog. I've got my sound bowls and a little diffuser there with some cool lighting. And I'm just getting started. I'm going to really spend the time turning this into my cave. So check, I'm living on the right line, as I talked about before. I'm on my sun IC line. I've got my cave set up. And now I want to look at the third, and I think this is the most important one, because if we get the elemental balance right, and that's what this is looking at our elemental balance. If we get this right, we feel balanced. And this is what really brings out the best in any environment. And this is not something I see a lot of other astrologers talking about. And certainly human design analysts and that don't use astrology are not even going to know about this. But this is so powerful. And it's so simple at the same time. So in order to get our environmental balance, you're going to be on this screen when you log into astro.com. And I'm going to just show you the easy version now, because if you want to know this in more detail and really kind of get into the nitty gritty, I'd highly suggest the masterclass that I'm putting on. I'm running it live on Tuesday, November 19th and Wednesday, November 20th. You can see that in the description below. If you're watching this video afterwards, then you're just going to basically see the link below, and you'll get the replay of it if you want to watch it. But it's if you get it beforehand, it's pay what you want. And I would not miss this. This is so good if you're a reader, if you want to know more about yourself. And it's really going to show you how to do the environmental balance, the environment and the elemental balance in greater detail. But for now, I'm going to just show you sort of a simpler way to do it. So you're going to click extended chart selection here. If you know me in the channel, you know I'm going to automatically hit sidereal. Now, it isn't true sidereal. This is going to be Fagan Bradley, but I'm showing you guys an easy option that you can do right now using astro.com. So I still think that this is better and much more accurate than tropical, and I would not use draconitic. That's a very archaic form that has basically gotten a lot of questionable sort of reviews from people or criticism. So just avoid using draconitic. I'd highly recommend using sidereal. I've just found that to be the most accurate, especially for environmental balance. Tropical does give you important information, but the sidereal really gives you the depth of it. So I'm going to hit sidereal, and I'm going to now click show the chart. And you can see it's printed me off a little chart. So here is where we see our environmental balance. So we have fire, air, earth, and water. And then we have cardinal, fixed, immutable. Now, we're not worrying too much about the cardinal, fixed, immutable right now. We're mostly just worried about the element balance. So the fire is red, the air is orange, earth is green, and water is blue. Now, there is a special way to score these, which I'll talk about in more detail in the workshop. But suffice to say, the sun, the ascendant, and the moon, they each get 3 points. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, they each get 1 point. And anything else like Chiron, nodes, the outer planets, Uranus, Pluto, Neptune, they do not get points at all. So you just have to be a little cognizant of that when we're adding these up. So looking at this here, we have 3 points for the moon, no for the MC, 3 points for the sun. So we're at 6. Then we have 7 with Mercury, 8 with Jupiter. We do not count Neptune. So we have 8 points for fire. And then for air, we've got 1 point for Mars, 1 point for Saturn, no points for Pluto, but 3 points for the ascendant. So we have 8 points for fire, 5 points for air. Earth, we have the node and Chiron, so that's 0 points. Neither of those get a point. And finally, water, we have Venus, which gets 1 point, and then Uranus does not get any points. So we've got a total score of 8 fire, 5 air, 0 earth, and 1 water. So when I look at that and I think about it, I say I have a real access of fire. That's my real passion, but I can also burn out. And then I've got quite a bit of air, so I can get really into concepts. I can really kind of dive deep in things. I can pick things apart. I can really understand things at an intellectual level. It's not as exaggerated as fire, but it's there. And then I'm missing sort of the stability of the earth and the rhythm and the routines, and then the water as well, which is, the intuition, the psychic waters, the going with the flow. So as a result of that, I know no matter where I live, if I want to be healthy, happy, and balanced, I'm going to have to supplement earth and water. And so you are going to, when you run this, you're going to find you have your own balance here to go through. And, you might have a lot of earth and no fire. And generally when I see that, I see people who they're very good at holding down routines and doing the same thing, but they kind of lack that bigger picture and they lack that motivation to take their life in a new direction. So therefore, they want to pick an environment that brings in that element that they're deficient in. So reflect which ones are you deficient in. And I would consider deficiency to be anything less than 3 points. And I'd consider excess to be 5 points or greater in a given sign. So in this case, I know I'm deficient in earth and water. And therefore now, when I bring in the earth and water, and then in the last video, I talked about the selective caves being my environment. So I know, okay, I want a place to live, which is selective caves. And like I talked about, I've got my office, check. Now I want a place with water and earth. So what does water and earth mean? Well, earth on a very personal level means having fixed rhythms, keeping a schedule, keeping certain routines. Water could be anything from drinking healthy water. And you guys know I do a lot of water experiments. I've got this nice fresh water with this sacred geometry. I make it myself. But earth is also minerals. So I put minerals into the water as well. Living by the water, rain, a little bit of rain is going to do me good. Being outside on trails, lots of hiking, forests, that's earth. That's also got the water element. So when I start to add these things in life, I start to feel a lot better. Similarly, I don't like places that are too hot, and places that are windy or, overly cold also don't really suit my constitution. So it's always about the elements that we are deficient in. So I just so happens where I live now, I have a couple options for where I could live. I could live anywhere on this line. I'd probably say any of these would actually be pretty safe because they're all in areas that get a lot of water. And they're also in areas that are by the ocean. They get a lot of rain. So this line is actually great. The only thing is, the earth element as well is present in a lot of these. There's very mountainous regions. There's lots of hills. There's lots of rock outcrops. So I'm pretty good with anywhere on this line, except, and I have been up here. If I go up here, I start to get into the Caribou Chilcotins in BC, which is very dry. And so it doesn't have much water. And I actually don't really like being out in this area long term, very long, because it's much more fire. It's much more air, which I already have. So it kind of brings excess to my elemental balance, to my temperament. So therefore, I want to actually be in these rainforesty areas. And so this is another great way of saying, okay, cool, if I can't make a big move, sometimes you can move within a couple kilometers or a couple miles of where you're currently living, and all of a sudden you enter from a dry pocket into a wet pocket. When I lived in Cape Town, it was like that. Some parts were very dry and arid, and then you would go on the other side of the mountain, and all of a sudden it would be lush and green, and there'd be lots of trees and vegetation. And so that's something to consider. And that's really what I'm going to be, that's what I do in every session. And that's also what I'm going to be covering in this upcoming workshop with you, where we're going to bring in the environment. I'm going to give you a list of all the different environments from human design, from the PHS system. And then we're also going to look at different environmental balances. I'm going to show you how to score them in different systems for yourself. So at the end of that, you'll really see that when you combine your astrocartography with your ideal environment and your elemental balance, that now you have a very powerful system for figuring out where is the best place for you to be long term. Or if you're currently in an environment, what can you do to make slight alterations in your environment? Sometimes if we're in the same house and we're like, well, that's no good. Like, I can't move. You don't have to move, but there's other things you can do. Like if you have a deficiency of earth, it's like really working to bring that structure back in. If you have a deficiency of fire, maybe you get and you're in a place that's very cloudy, maybe you get, red light therapy, for instance. That could be very beneficial for you. So when we begin to think about it and work like this, we have now a very powerful way to get ourselves back into balance. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you at the workshop. And if I don't, maybe you'll catch the replay, which you can find the link for below. I've also launched the Octave Leap Trifecta Academy, where I've got courses on evolutionary astrology, human design, and of course, all the old workshops that I've completed. They're all there. And you can peruse that. There's also a link to that in the description below. And if you want to just dip your toes in with something free, I've always got my free 3-day trifecta reading to reveal and heal your core wound and to begin to work with the trifecta system. There's a link to that in the description below. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed what we cover, and I will see you again soon. Take care.